Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Alex here, and today is, I guess, the obligatory Glock video. So I'm about to make all the Glock boys out there mad, I guess, because I really don't like Glocks all that much. I've owned a ton of them. I feel like as a gun guy, like you're supposed to really like Glocks in some way. And man, I just don't. Every time I buy a Glock, I sort of go through this vicious circle of like, why did I do this? I hate this thing. I get rid of it. I go a little while, and then I'm like, I'm supposed to have a Glock. I'm a gun guy. And then I buy one, and I'm disappointed. And it just all it goes over and over that way. So this is one of my current Glocks. I do have at least two right now. And I just don't like them. I've had a Gen 4 Glock 19. I've had a Gen 4 Glock 21. I've had a Gen 4 Glock 34 that was done up by Jaegerworks. I've had a Glock 42. I've had a couple of Shadow System Glock clones. I've had a Glock Gen 4 MOS on a Shadow Systems frame. That was a Glock 19. I actually liked that one okay because it had a done-up trigger in it, and the grip angle of that Shadow Systems lower was different than a traditional Glock, so I like that one better. But really, I don't like striker-fired guns much at all. So when I started shooting, more seriously, not even competition shooting, but when I started shooting more, I started out with a Beretta 92. So a Beretta 92 was the first gun I bought when I turned 21. So first pistol I purchased after turning 21. And so that's what I started with. When I got into competition shooting, I showed up to my first IDPA match in a drop leg Safariland holster shooting an M92 FS, actually. Or a Beretta 92 FS, rather. And so all my original competition shooting, I got into dry fire. That's the gun I shot for the first year or so. And then after that, I was introduced to the CZ SP01. I bought a CZ SP01. I shot that for a number of years, and then I started shooting the CZ Shadow 2 when it came out. So I have years and years and years behind a double action, single action gun. And then after that, I transferred over to 2011s. I shot open for a little while with a 2011, and now I'm shooting limited optics with a 2011. So I just have never really liked striker fire guns, but I like Glocks probably the least of all. So this is my Gen 5 MOS Glock 47. I bought this from a buddy of mine, and it's, stock internals. It's got a Cerakoted slide, so this is not the factory color. This is a Cerakoted slide. He's got suppressor height night sights on it. This is sort of a custom plate for this Hollow Sun 509T. Or 508T, whichever it is. And it's got this extended ambi slide release on it. I forget who makes that. It's got the brass thug plug in it. And, it's a Glock. The trigger is, sort of crap. And I hate the grip angle on Glocks. I know a lot of people talk about how grip angle is not really a thing you practice with it. I mean, that's true. I can kind of pick up any pistol and shoot it decently just from, years of competition shooting and thousands of rounds. But Glocks don't really point naturally for me, so I really hate the grip angle on these things. And I just think they shoot okay. And that goes for, again, any striker fire gun. It's not particularly Glocks, but I'll take the striker fired guns in these little carry guns because they don't make a good little double action, single action gun. But in a full size gun, I would much rather have either, a 2011 style gun or, give me a Beretta M9A4 with a red dot on it or something like that. I would take that over a Glock or any other striker fired gun, any day of the week. But that's just, my personal preference. Like, you can't get around. This is a very reliable gun. I'm just not super fond of them. Giving them a lot of chances. I actually have a 9mm SBR sort of AR style PCC, and it takes Glock mags. So I'm always like, well, I need a pistol to take, that takes the same mags, and so that's been my reasoning for buying a lot of Glocks. And I always end up selling them, and I'll probably end up selling this thing too. I think the one I do want to give a shot to is like the Glock 17L, just because it's so long. It looks ridiculous, and I love it, So that would probably be one I would get and hold on to, just because I like the look of that like super long slide. But I don't dig Glocks very much. Now, I trust this gun fine. Now, I've heard these 47s have had some issues. Like, I've had some issues with this gun working with real cheap reman ammo that I bought at a gun range. It was like 115 grain reman, and it would not run in this. And as I understand it, sort of the recoil system in this gun is a little bit different, or maybe it's like the Glock 19 recoil system in the longer slide gun. And I've heard a lot of Glock guys change that out. I've never cared enough to research that any more than that little bit or do anything with this gun. But I have had issues with this gun with factory ammo. Granted, it was definitely like cheap reman stuff. But, like, I trust this gun fine. Like, this is my home defense pistol. It's up, in my nightstand. So, I trust my life to it. I just don't like it all that much. There's a lot more pistols that I'd rather have, and I'd take a double action, single action any day of the week over this gun. But we'll talk about my setup with it. So I've got, I think I talked about everything on here. I've got the 509T. These have been a pretty good enclosed optics. I've got 3 of them. Just in the competition shooting world, over the years, I sort of have seen the red dots, come on and get popular in the market. Like, when I started, I was shooting iron sights and shot iron sights for a number of years, and then sort of red dots got popular in the competition world with carry optics. And so I've got the opportunity to see a lot of guys who put tons of rounds on their guns, test optics, see what fails, see what didn't fail. Like, I shot Delta Point Pros for a long time, and on average, 7,000 rounds, 8,000 rounds, and they die, and you'd have to send them back to the factory. So you kept, maybe 2 on guns and 1 spare, and then you'd send 1 off to the factory and get 1 back. I shot SROs for a long time, and those worked great. I had a couple of them. I had some flickering issues with mine, but they never went out completely. And then, Hollow Sun has really came on really hot the last several years. Seemed to be good quality and good price, if you can get over the Chinese manufacturing. But I have killed one of these optics. I did have one that I had to send back. Warranty was good. It was quick. I think I had it back in, like 10 days. But I have killed one of these. Now, I know a lot of guys that shoot these, and I'm not aware of anybody else killing one. But I've killed one. But these things do way better than, like, the SIGs may be better now, but the Romeos and the Romeo 1s, I guess, and the Romeo 1 Pros and the Romeo Maxes, I've seen a ton of dudes kill those, and they constantly have to be sent back. Now, you'll get thousands of rounds on them, but they go back to the factory a pretty good bit, and I just have not seen that with these Hollow Suns. And like in the competition world, they're running the Hollow Sun 507 comps. Those seem to be pretty popular. So I've gotten a lot of good mileage out of my Hollow Sun optics. And, I've got this on a defense gun that I keep for home defense. I'm not carrying this gun. But I trust the Hollow Sun fine, but if it goes out, I've got the suppressor height backup sights that, you can see through the window fine, and they'll work if the optic goes out. Over here, I've got just standard Glock mags with extensions. I've got a TTI extension or Terran Tactical extension. This is a Arredondo, and then here's another Terran Tactical one, just a lesser amount. I think this is a maybe a +5, and that's a +2 or 3, and that's a +5. I like Terran's mag extensions. I've used them on a couple of different, guns, and they work great. I think they look great. So particularly with Glocks, like I buy them for Glocks because I think they look good. This Arredondo one has worked fine. I got this with the gun. So those are my, mags that I'm using in competition or, in a, self-defense when it's set up that way. This is my backup shooting rig. So these are old Ghost pouches. So these are the first mag pouches I bought for competition back when I was shooting iron sights. They're plastic, and I've got nice metal ones now. And so this is sort of my backup rig just for the Glock. This is I think a Scorpion belt. Again, this is sort of a backup belt I picked up along the way. My main belt is a double alpha belt. It's got a whole lot more, or is a whole lot more rigid than this belt is. But I got this in some kind of gun deal somewhere. And, it's not bad. It's fine for a backup belt. I've shot this, and it works great. I have the Safariland, drop leg, holster mount deal here. I've got a T-Rex Arms Ragnarok holster, and then the obligatory Tactical Timmy T-Rex, thigh strap to keep that bad boy down. So just like, God and Lucas Bodkin intended. And that works fine too. Competition guys will make fun of you for the thigh strap. It was illegal to have these for a while. I think they're allowed now because it doesn't really do anything for you. There's no reason for them to not be allowed because everybody's running the boss hangers or whatever, the metal drop rigs, and they're more rigid than this is. So, I've perfectly vanilla competition rig there. It works fine. So anyway, that's the Glock. That's how I feel about the Glocks. People will be mad about that, but it is what it is. Anyway, just for comparison's sake, we'll take this out. We'll shoot a match with it. We'll get out there and run the police qualifier with this thing and see what we can do on that. I actually have run that police qualifier with this gun before and shot a perfect score on it. So, it works fine. And then maybe we'll have a debrief to talk about it afterwards and, shit on the Glock some more. So anyway, I'll catch you guys here in a bit. Hey guys, we're out here on the range today getting ready to run a couple of pistols through this course of fire and do some kind of like grouping with them supported from a sandbag. As far as the course of fire goes, what we're doing is going to be shooting the Alabama Peace Officers and Training Commission's qualification course. So what this is a 50-round course of fire that all Alabama law enforcement has to initially qualify on and requalify on annually. So we're going to start out here at the 25-yard line. You're going to draw and shoot 6 rounds, then kneel and shoot 6 rounds with a 35-second par time. You're allowed to have a barricade for that. I don't have a barricade handy out here today, and I wouldn't use it anyway, so I don't have that here. Following that, the next course of fire, you're going to run up, draw and shoot, run up from the 25-yard line to the 15-yard line, draw and shoot 3 rounds. You have 8 seconds to do that. Then you are going to stay at the 15-yard line. You're going to draw and shoot 3 rounds with a 5-second par time. You have to do that 3 separate times. The next course of fire, you would run from the 15-yard line to the 7-yard line and put 2 rounds from the 7. You're going to have 8 seconds to do that. At the 7, you're then going to draw and fire 12 rounds. You've got 25 seconds to do that. And then the last string is going to be from the 5-yard line. You're going to draw and put 6 rounds strong hand only, then move the gun to your weak hand and shoot 6 rounds weak hand only. So each shot is worth 2 points. We're shooting at an FBI Q target there. So if the shot is inside the Q target or breaks the perf, you get the hit. And if it's outside, you get a miss. So each round's worth 2 for a total of 100 points. A passing score is 70. My brother is a police officer here in Alabama, and I've shot this with him before when he was practicing kind of in the academy, and I've shot this clean. It'll probably be pretty easy to do with some of these guns as far as my competition rigs go, but I'm going to shoot some of these little carry guns on it too, and those should be significantly more challenging. But we're going to try to not only shoot this thing, maybe not clean, but pretty clean, but we want to shoot it really fast. So the par times here are real slow. So I'm going to kind of keep up with my score and kind of times, and then I can kind of look at it compared to other guns and look at both the score and the overall time on this thing. So it should be pretty interesting to kind of to compare and keep up with, and I think this is a good repeatable standard to kind of check out with some of these guns. Had some malfunctions there at the end. So that looks like a 96. I saw both of those when I did them. Both of them were running up to the position. So that was, I think, my first round running up from 25 to 15, and then also my first round running up from 15 to 7. I did have some jams there at the end, failure to feeds, but I think using my weak hand, I was limp wristing the gun a little bit.
Are you ready? Stand by. by.
Strap.
Stand by.
Go, champ.
Hurry. Stand by.
There you go, Alex.
Stand by. Stand by.
All right, guys, closing thoughts on the Glock. So as you can see here, the Glock I talked about in the beginning of the video is not present. And I predicted my own future and said I would probably be selling that gun before too long. And I did, in fact, do that. So I do not have it anymore. I got rid of it. And that's why I don't have maybe some of the same type video as you've seen in others if you watch any of the previous videos. I had first-person video for all the other guns and a little bit different match footage. I had to go into my archives a little bit, and the match footage I had for the Glock was an older outdoor USPSA match, but I think it still captures, you know, the capability of the platform like I try to do with some of these others. I just, you know, not a huge fan of Glocks. I had the opportunity to get rid of it and buy something else, and I did. So I'm down to my last Glock, which is this Gen 3 Glock 26 that really just sits in the safe. As far as performance goes, the Glock performed like a Glock. The platform is perfectly shootable. I'm not a fan. I just don't like it compared to my 2011 or some of these other guns. Like I've got a Smith & Wesson M&P. I like the way that gun feels and shoots much better than I like the way the Glock shoots trigger and all that stuff. But the Glock is a perfectly capable platform. You saw a little bit, I think, on the qual run. My gun did jam, you know, Glock perfection. I think that was my fault. I was limp wristing it on the left-handed shooting, and so I don't really think that was the Glock. I think that was me. And then in the older competition video, you can see that I had two malfunctions, I think on a single stage in there. And I don't think that was the gun either. I think that was likely my ammo. Again, that was a little bit older of a match, but I wanted to have some footage of shooting the Glock in a match, and I had gotten rid of it by the time I had gotten around to recording some of that stuff, so I pulled some old video. But I think during that time, I was having some issues with high primers with my ammo that I load. And so I think that was the problem. I don't think it was the gun. Now, with that being said, you know, everybody talks about how, you know, well Glocks run, and they do. But if you get out and you shoot a lot and you see a lot of Glocks in competition, which I do, you know, seeing other guys shoot them on my squads and stuff, they do malfunction. I mean, if you shoot it enough, eventually you're going to wear out parts, and that might cause it to malfunction. Some of them have ammo issues. Like I think I mentioned already that my stock Glock 47 wouldn't run some off-the-shelf ammo. Now it was reman ammo, so it probably wasn't great quality, but they will mess up. And, you know, a lot of guys like to mess with Glocks, tune the triggers, and do some other stuff internally, and that'll cause them to not run as well either. So if you get out there and you see enough of them shoot, you'll see that they'll mess up just like any other gun will. But I think in my case, it probably wasn't the gun. It was me limp wristing the gun, and then probably ammo issues that were totally my fault because that was a QC problem on my end. So, you know, the Glock works fine. As far as the match placement in that match, I'll have to go back and look at the scores and see how I did. But I think I did pretty well in that match. So all that is to say, just because I don't like the platform doesn't mean it doesn't shoot well and I can't perform well with it. So I think that's all I really have to say about the Glock. I may do another Glock video at some point in the future. I do actually still want a 17 long slide. I like long slide guns in general and think that one's kind of cool. So I may pick that one up, and then I'm eyeballing another one for sort of a separate video. So there'll probably be more Glock content in the future. But for now, that's my take on the Glocks. I appreciate you guys hanging in there and watching this one. I'll throw up a link to my previous video in case you have any interest. Like and subscribe if you're so inclined. Leave a comment. I appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next one.